Hey everyone, welcome back. This video is going to pretty much be like a beginner's guide or a TTRPG player's guide to how to pick your first class in Path of Exile. Now, earlier this week you heard me mention about how there's a big league coming. You're going to see lots and lots of videos on the internet that are be extremely advanced about patch 3.26, secrets of the Atlas, all the best builds. This is going to be way over your head. So what I want to do today is just give you an actual kind of real basic breakdown of how that first character really should be chosen, what you're going to learn along the way, some things to consider because the game structure is very, very different than any other action RPG or RPG you've ever created. So when the new league comes out, or you can do this today if you want to play standard, the new league starts on Friday, right? You're going to click create a character, never click hardcore or solo stuff, found or ruthless. Just click right, just leave it like it is default. And you may have seen the previous video where I'm talking about like a big overview. Well, as you can see here, what do you have on screen? You have 7 characters on screen. 6 of these have ascendancy classes, and we're going to take a look at the wiki a lot today on the website, which is going to be a great place for you to research. If you were to try and just pick something, there's no problem with that. You can make as many characters as you want. You don't usually have this problem like you can only make 3 characters like in New World and things like that. You can look at the characters and you might have this first impression of like they're kind of ugly and goofy looking, right? But as you put the gear on and get other aesthetics going, characters look fantastic. From left to right, it's going to be the Templar, this is going to be the Shadow, this is the Marauder, this is the Scion, a very advanced class that starts in the middle of the tree. This is going to be like this is the Ranger, forgot her name, and this is the Duelist, and then we have the Witch, which I play almost exclusively. So how do you pick one? Well, if you just glance at these guys, what does it look like? This looks like some Greek Socrates dude with a big staff in his hand. Well, in many ways it kind of is, right? No, this is more like a strength and intelligence oriented class that has a lot of totem talents on its side of the tree, minion talents. But remember, like I said the other day, just because you pick a class, it doesn't determine what you do in the game. It just gives you a thematic area where you begin on the talent tree. You'll see that when you start getting into the game and learning the people's builds, unlike playing like a Shadow Priest in World of Warcraft or a Mage in World of Warcraft or any other action-adventure RPG or like the Druid in Diablo 4 or Diablo 3, whatever, classes in other games have buckets of abilities that are expected that you're going to go, okay, I'm going to play a Barbarian, I'm going to spin to win, I'm going to do Whirlwind, I'm going to jump, I'm going to charge. You know, yes, some of that is in here, but the beauty of the game is that you don't have to do those things. You make your decision usually about the class based upon what the skills there you're going to use. And there's no restrictions to anyone using any abilities, the skill gems, any way at all. So there's nothing that says Ranger only or Witch only. It's just pick up whatever you want, any type of armor, you know, cloth armor, chainmail type armor, heavy armor. Pick any type of weapon, two-handed, one-handed, sword and shield, daggers, unarmed weapons, claws, bows, staves, scepters, wands, anything you want. Equip it on the character and start using abilities that either require that weapon or amplify how the ability is being delivered in the game. For example, there's some abilities, some totems in the game that you can make shoot arrows and shoot effects. There's some ballistas in the game that can shoot stuff up in the air and blow everything up on screen. And it doesn't matter which class you pick at all, except when you want to start thinking about when you're first playing the character, what is their ultimate ascendancy going to be, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump over to the wiki, which I've got popped open right here in the background. And let's just log in the background so I can pull the talent tree up too. So go back out of this, go back to Lunchbox Smell. And I'm just going to have her in the background so we can have some music and we can pull the talent tree up. You may have heard me say this in the other video that every character class in the game has an ascendancy class. Let's explain what that is. So go into the wiki, which is poewiki.net. This is the official wiki. This isn't one with a bunch of stupid pop-up ads. Like some of the other wikis you see related to games, they're just absolute shit, okay? They're terrible. So go into here and type in ascendancy class. And you're going to see this pop up for you. This is going to give you the overview of every single base class and then a picture for what their ascendancy class is. Now, what is an ascendancy class? In the game, there is a trial called the Labyrinth, and it gets better and better and harder types of ways of challenging yourself. and this is often called just the labyrinth. The labyrinth is something that opens up around level 32, 33, if I'm not mistaken. It's a series of interconnected dungeons where you can't die. Now, it's not a roguelike. Your character doesn't die forever, but if you die, you have to start all the way back over to the beginning, like an old school Nintendo game, right? To ascend your class from the base class, in this case, Duelist, Shadow, Marauder, Witch, Ranger, and Templar, to ascend, you must complete the labyrinth. And in order to unlock the labyrinth, as you're leveling up your character in the campaign, you'll run into little labyrinth mini challenges in Act 1 and Act 2 and Act 3, where you go through a bunch of buzzsaws and little traps and little things like that that are very similar to what you're going to see in the labyrinth, and then get to a little panel in the end and go click, and then now you've unlocked one. So once you have unlocked a number of those along the way during your leveling path, because you need to discover these things, and you can look up on the web where to find them, then you'll unlock the labyrinth. These are called Trials of Ascendancy. So this is something you're going to think about later, and of course there's multiple versions of it. The labyrinth, the cruel labyrinth. You may hear people call it the cruel lab. They say lab all the time on the internet. The merciless labyrinth, and you can see there's different levels that happen in the game, and it gets harder and harder. Why would you want to do this? You're going to want to do this so you can ascend your class. So once you get to the very last room, you're going to fight the main boss like 3 times in a row. He's a nasty, philosophical type dude. He's totally hilarious. That's some of the funniest things. His name is Izaro, right? It's very hard to fight, but once you learn how to fight him and you ascend, then you're going to pick your kind of final class in the game. Let's give you a specific example, right? I played the Witch and I played the Champion exclusively. I just absolutely love the Witch. I love zombie-oriented, pet-oriented classes. So when you get into the wiki, I want you to start exploring things that look sort of interesting to you. Let's just close the labyrinth page. Let's go back to this one here, the Ascendancy class. Let's open up the Duelist first, right? Let's just go through all of them real quickly. This is a strength dexterity hybrid class, making unmatched dealing and avoiding damage. Now, when you ascend, you're going to have 3 choices. You can either be the Slayer or the Gladiator or the Champion. Now, let's see, why would you pick one over the other, right? So these things here, right? These are the passive skills you're going to get each time you complete the labyrinth. Remember, when you can't die in the labyrinth, you have to reset it. In here are specific talent trees that are very, very powerful and very focused on certain ways of playing. For example, attack damage area effect, percentage increased attack speed and attack damage, critical strike chance and attack damage, frenzy charge duration, endurance charge duration and attack damage, leech does life. This is like it doesn't mean you have to use a two-handed sword like the guy in the photo. You can do anything. Every one of these classes has a number of effects associated with it, right? But they're general type effects across the whole game. You're not going to get a specific ability. Like, you're not going to unlock like Whirlwind or something if you play the Slayer. If you do the Gladiator, right, he's going to have things like attack speed, increased damage with one-handed weapons, attack speed, increased attack damage, cause bleeding, etc., blocking, right, things like that. The Champion, evasion rating and armor rating, evasion rating and armor rating, increased fortify. There's all kinds of interesting talents that are happening for the Champion. In fact, you know, you saw the other day if you watched the video, I had a Champion that's shooting a bow. So I'm not jumping around with a sword and shield because I'm taking advantage of some of the passives that are in the Champion tree to benefit me, to provide me damage reduction, even though I'm shooting a bow, right? So like 30% increased effective non-quest auras from your skills, or banners, or 100% chance to taunt on hit, etc. And when they're taunted, they take more damage. So you could say, I kind of just want to jump in the game and dick around. Yeah, you can do that. When you start thinking to yourself, well, you know, I played the game. I got a little bit of gear. I think I like this one skill gem. I wonder if this green skill gem, Caustic Arrow, which one of these classes would be the best to play one and really go all out with it? Well, like you heard me say a moment ago, you know, the Champion's fantastic for playing Caustic Arrow. Caustic Arrow is where you shoot an arrow and like this burning chaos green shits on the ground. But so could the Ranger and the Deadeye and the Warden and the Pathfinder. You could be doing this with a Witch if you wanted to. This is the one thing about the game that's really, really crazy, is because the talent tree, let's go back to that real quick, just has starting locations for every particular class. Let's say, for example, I wanted to ultimately get down here to elemental damage, evasion rating, more damage down here. Let's see, what was one of the good ones here? Increased critical strike damage, critical strike multiplier, and I want to get over here to these chaos and physical damage. Maybe I'm doing a lot of dots. Maybe I'm going to shoot caustic arrow, which does a lot of dot damage. There's a lot of dot damage stuff over on this side of the tree. But if I'm playing a witch, I'm starting here. Well, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 levels, 10 points, probably by the time you're level 8, and I'm already at the same starting point as the duelist, pretty much. And so then I can start, or not the duelist, this is probably the Pathfinder starting spot. So you can see there's these perimeter nodes, like the wiring diagram of a schematic motherboard, that if you want to invest, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, you could get down to talents that are normally, you would think, are really leaning more towards another class. This is not unheard of. Everyone does this. Everyone does this. Very few people, except for me probably, start near the class and stick with the class theme and stay on talents that are easy and quickly to get to. But even at that, they're branching all the way up here. This is more zombie minion build stuff based off a jewel that I've slotted, right? I've got some defensive things with shield mastery and blocking that you would normally associate with the Marauder, who starts down here, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is the Templar starting point. So don't think that because you are choosing to play a Shadow and then you want to actually play a Saboteur, or you want to play the Trickster, that you can't do anything you want to do in the game. Because the abilities are not associated with the class. Okay? Let's look at the Trickster, for example, which is a starter from the Shadow. This Marilyn Manson beard, fucking dagger-holding dude, right? Evasion, energy shield, attack, and cast speed. So evasion is kind of like dodging. It's like a way for the game to do a double check real quick and see if the evasion check happens. If it happens, you don't get hit. It's like blocking, percentage chance to check. There's a bunch of variables in the math to make it work out. But evasion is like dodging or World of Warcraft or other games. So you're going to see evasion rating, evasion rating, evasion rating, evasion rating, evasion rating, evasion rating on all these different types of talents you can pick in the skill tree, right? And these are a lot of the passives. And you may find ones down here that are more actives. Every 10 seconds, take 10 less damage from hits for 5 seconds. I mean, that's pretty cool. So 20% chance to suppress spell damage. Spell damage is nasty fighting bosses. So there's really no wrong class. But what you want to do is, as you start putting together your character build, whether you're going to go melee oriented or lots of mobility oriented, or you're shooting a bow or using wands and casting area effect spells, or you're debuffing, or you're using minions, or using totems, or using brands, all kinds of different ways to play. Area effect burning, flame walls, whatever you want to do. There's nothing in the game that says you can't play one class like the Trickster and have tons and tons of evasion and stuff helping you while you're actually playing a build that kind of sounds like a mage. So this is a really, really important concept for you. So how do you learn about these? Go to the wiki and you can click through the different classes. Like here's the Elementalist, right? Elemental damage, elemental damage, elemental. These are the passives. These are the little passives, the smaller coins that you see here in the tree. And remember, you're going to get 2 points every time you do an Ascendancy Lab. So then you have all the direct ones, right? Summoned golems. So you can end up having more golems by playing an Elementalist. No one else in the game is going to have that unless they get a particular keynote passive in the passive tree, etc. So this is where it's going to be tricky for you when you're first starting out. You have no idea. You think to yourself, I want to play a Juggernaut. I want to play a tanky character. Let's just open that in a new tab for you. You see this picture of this dude wearing plate with a tower shield and a warhammer in his hand, and you see he gets increased armor and attack speed, armor, 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 armor. And you say to yourself, well, what does armor do in the game versus the other stats? Let's just go over that real quickly. If you go to defenses, what does armor do, right? You can mouse over the armor number, and you can see you have 7,176 armor. Let's go to our hideout real quick. The 3 or 4 major forms of defenses in the game, which have some tricky offshoots to it, are essentially armor, right, which gives you a certain amount of damage reduction, and then you have an evasion rating, which gives you a percentage chance to completely miss being hit. Then you have energy shield, which you can see down here. Health is red. I have energy shield. Energy shield is going to come from higher levels of intelligence, and gear gives bonuses to energy shield. So if you look at my character's gear, you may find there's some energy shield junk in here somewhere. Plus 27 to max energy shield. This Prophet Crown has energy shield on it. Does this have energy shield on it? No, etc. The life regeneration per second, mana generation per second, and then you're going to have resist, which are going to be very, very important once you get through the main campaign. You're going to need to keep them over 75 as the base number. Chance to block and attack. Chance to block spell damage. So for me, playing my zombie build, using this Ghastly Theater Aegis Shield, which I really like, I have a lot of talents into block because I want to block spells, which is one of the things that will kill you really, really quickly, and to block melee damage. Even though I don't stand still and let things hit me, if I get shot with something or a spell pops me real quick, the chance for me to like not really take any damage from it by blocking it while I'm running around and focusing on throwing more skeletons down or debuffing a vulnerability helps me the way I play. The block recovery is like when you do block, you kind of get a little stagger animation, stun recovery, enemy crit extra damage reduction, so when I get critical hit on me because of talents I pick, I don't take as much damage because I needed all these defensive, defensive elements to keep me alive while I'm focusing on babysitting all the zombies and making sure I'm moving around because I'm not getting the front line and whacking things with a stick. Like I'm not casting any offensive spells at all. I'm just debuffing the enemies. And that's just one play style for my character. Now, so you're saying to yourself, okay, I think the classes are interesting. You showed me where to go read up about all of them, which is this ascendancy class thing. But what do they do? And we need to make a separate video to talk about skill gems. In essence, the skill gems is where you're going to determine what you do. And as you may have remember in the previous video, you have three primary statistics in the game: intelligence, strength, and dexterity. Remember how we were looking at this different tree here? Let's just pick something for the sake of conversation. Let's pick the champion. Champion's going to be super popular in this league. Try it if you want to. It might be a great way for you to advance yourself. The champion. If you go back to the base class, the duelist, this determines kind of what you're going to gain as you level up. As you're getting a level, you're going to get some innate boosts to strength and dexterity. You're also going to see, if I'm not mistaken, the champion starts down here. In fact, let's just pull our champion up. This will only take a second. We've got one in here. It's like level 90 from a long time ago. Okay, let's play this guy. He's an archer. And he doesn't have any cool gear on or anything. But let's just take a look at his passive tree. Right. So where did he start? The champion started down here. Yep. So he started down here. I was mistaken, not here. So as he leveled up, the things in the champion tree start off with attack speed and accuracy, attack speed, attack speed, attack speed. And then you start having evasion rating and armor, increased maximum life. And these things I picked up later to give myself more survivability. But very early on, I started doing, hey, more projectile damage. So you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Level 7, I'm getting increased projectile damage, increased projectile, global accuracy, which you don't miss as much, projectile speed, and then increase the projectile damage. But I'm wearing heavy armor, so the strength helps me wear that. And by level 15 or 16, I'm getting over here and getting physical damage and damage over time. And I'm doing this on purpose because my plan was to use an ability called Caustic Arrow. I played the game for a while, and I thought Caustic Arrow looked great. And the guy doesn't have any transmogs on, so we'll worry about that later. So Caustic Arrow fires an arrow that does chaos damage, which is almost like shadow damage from World of Warcraft, in an area effect on impact. And it puts this caustic effect on the ground. Enemies standing on the caustic ground take damage over time. It did this much chaos damage per second. The base duration was this. 60% of physical damage is converted to chaos damage. So in this case, I'm also picking up projectile damage because I know it will add to the dot damage. So it's not a spell. It's actually a bow shot. This is something very interesting. You see the top here where it says attack, comma, projectile, comma, AO effect, comma, duration, comma, chaos bow. Every ability in the game will have these types of labels on them. Let's call them labels. Let's go somewhere real quick. Let's go somewhere stupid. We're not doing this to show off how good we are. We're doing this just to give you an example. All right, so the caustic arrow for the build that I had put together for this guy for a long time ago is a really short, really fast, burning, chaos damage dot. All my passives are designed around doing that. So I have one attack, and then I have greater volley support. That means that's why there's multiple arrows flying out as opposed to one. If you take this gem out, you can see how it changes the action ability to just be one arrow, right? And these are the types of things you're going to be able to do. You're going to have an ability where you can modify how it acts. So I was just shooting one arrow at the ground is great, but you see how things are able to get me a little closer. So when I was building this character, I wanted to have greater volley so I can shut down entire areas of mobs as opposed to having to wait a little longer and shoot twice. That's just a personal decision I made, okay? So in this case, I also picked up other support gems This one here did more chaos damage. Don't do any elemental damage. That's fine. I'm never doing any. Vicious projectile support. They did more chaos damage, more physical damage. Support skills have more physical projectile attack damage. Concentrated effect. They did 40% more area damage, but in a smaller area. And since I was using volley, that means it's a really tight, lot of damage, ticking, boom, 1 second, and it's done. So these are the types of things that you'll figure out when you find an ability that you really like. Let's take Caustic Arrow out, and let's put Tornado Shot in here. Now you'll see when you have a supporting gem, if you mouse over it, you can see this does affect Tornado Shot and also affects Caustic Arrow. So we can put that one back in. But what about this one, Void Manipulation? Is that going to affect it? Yes. But it doesn't really, because this isn't really a damage over time ability. This one will shoot an ability on the ground that makes a little tornado explosion and shoots other arrows out everywhere. So I'm not really taking advantage of the synergies of all the support skills by using Tornado Shot. See how these guys are living a little longer? These are only level 61 mobs. He's like level 90. So because the synergies aren't there, despite the fact that he's high level and the gem isn't ranked up, it's going to take longer to be able to kill something, right? So these are the things that are going to be really interesting when you start designing and working on your class, is finding an ability that you really like and try to find all the support gems that will amplify the damage and the output of that ability. Pair that with passive talents that you target to try to pick up that will increase the damage of that ability and give you some other benefits as well. Like for example, this one here, which is you can probably pick up by level 20, increased damage with bows, more evasion rating. Remember the champion had a bunch of evasion rating, more movement speed, damage over time with bow skills. If I was casting Flame Wall, that's a spell. That's not going to benefit this. I probably would have been better off if I was going to go Flame Wall to go way up here and pick up some fire talents way up here. So you can start to see that like when you're picking a class, you're kind of sort of thematically picking something that's the main ability will probably be the same color as your primary stat. So since I'm playing what was originally, oh gosh, a champion, what the hell was the course, the base class, I forgot about it already. Duelist, it was a duelist. A duelist becomes a champion. Because I tried playing this class and I gained strength and dexterity, the dexterity bonuses are the most. Therefore, the gems you'll see that I'm using are mostly the primary one, like this Caustic Arrow being used here and this Caustic being used on a Ballista totem, are green. And why is that? Okay, let's take a look at that real quick. You'll see that on this Caustic Arrow, it has requirements for statistics. So it requires 155 dexterity at level 70 to be a max level 20 gem, and didn't require any strength or anything else. But along the way, like this one here, for Ballista support, I needed 70 strength and 48 dexterity. So I need to make sure my strength was high enough. And when I got this piece of armor, required 95 strength, 155 dexterity, and it says behind it, why. In this case, this piece of armor, if you took all the gems out, requires 95 strength because it's a heavy armor, right? And, well, it's not heavy. It's a mixture. It has evasion and armor on it. So your statistics that you are gaining because of the core class and the ascendancy create a synergy with the types of abilities you choose. You usually are going to lean into abilities where your biggest statistic is the highest. Like this guy has 446 dexterity, right? Let's just go look at another character real quick. Just how about level 80 Juggernaut, which is like a tanky-oriented class. Now, he doesn't have any gear on. I think I stripped this guy naked. Yeah, I did a long time ago. But his base strength with no gear on is 342. And why is that? Because he started over here. And as he started leveling up, armor, max life, maximum life, melee damage, melee damage, strength, physical melee damage. He was a slam-oriented build I was playing much earlier. That was meleeing things and using a shield, etc., etc. Let's look at another character. Let's go back to Zombie Girl. Let's go to Lunchbox Smell, my favorite. It's a Marilyn Manson reference. You look at her stats, right? Let's go take a look at hers. 320 intelligence. Not quite as much, but she's got a decent amount of strength and a decent amount of dexterity, and the reason for that is because I wanted her to wear heavier armor than the typical run-of-the-mill cloth-wearing style necromancer. All right, let's go back to that class decision stuff. So you say to yourself, okay, I think I've gotten a handle on the themes of the classes. I have to pick one of these guys, knowing that I can only choose between these three ultimately. So I'm sort of attracted to, let's just say you're interested in this Marauder, right? You think it's going to be cool, but you're not sure where it's going to start. Go roll a Marauder and play through that basic beach scene and kill that one little boss and get your first talent, and then press the talent bar, talent B button, which is P, and then you'll be able to see that the Marauder pretty much starts down here, right, where we were talking about earlier, and all your talents are going to be over here. So you could be playing a Marauder and say to yourself, hey, I could get to these regenerate life per second oriented armor and shield blocking abilities earlier in the game. Or maybe I want to go down the route of using maces. Or I want to go down this route over here where I Bone Breaker with maces and scepters, and they deal more damage with ailments and have a bigger area of effect. So there's a lot of interesting synergies between the core class you choose and then the abilities. So let's go look at every skill gem in the game, where to find it, but you won't have access to it when you first start. I want to show this briefly because I'm going to do a separate video to follow this up in about an hour or so. What is the deal with the skill gems? Remember I said that the classes now are starting with a theme. They're all gender locked. You're not trying to design their hairstyles or any crap like that. They have a theme where they start in the passive tree, and as they level up, they're going to gain one of the three primary stats more so than the other, or a balanced mixture between the two, like strength, dexterity, strength, intelligence, intelligence, dexterity, etc. As you level up, every time you hit a level or get a quest reward, and especially in the first part of the game in this Lion's Eye Watch, you're going to want to run over to Nessa, who you'll see a lot in the game, and go to purchase items and see her second panel. Now when you're a low level and you look at this panel, it's completely different. And the gem levels are already starting out at level 12 for me, right? So if I were to have a lower level character, let's go to a low level character. Who we got down here that's low level? Here's a little 16 duelists that I was dorking around with one day, right? Probably just holding gear. No, holding a bunch of gems.
Yes?
So you go to her, and him at level 16, he only has access to these here, but they're all low level. None of them are ranked up. And notice how most of them are green, right? Remember this guy's talent tree was down here. He started way down here. He hasn't got an ascendancy class yet. He started down here, and then from that point forward, he's picking up lots of attack speed stuff, right? His core stats is mostly dexterity. So he's going to get dexterity is green. He's going to get green gems. So one thing you can do is you can roll multiple characters and have different characters shop for and buy the gems to hand to the other class. This is a trick you're probably going to see this weekend when we try to speed run through the campaign. We're probably going to stream that, or we may just do YouTube Live. Not sure yet. We haven't decided. You can also see like this ability here, Frostwall, which is really cool. I don't have enough intelligence to use it. See how the intelligence is 33, it's low? Because my stats are actually kind of low for that stuff. I only have 24 intelligence. So I'm a dexterity, strength, and intelligence is the tertiary stat. So don't let the early days of the gems, the skill gems, which are the abilities you're going to do, you're going to use to attack things with, don't be afraid to save up your scrolls of wisdom in the early days and buy one of everything and try them out in the starter zone where you're not going to die, and start getting a feel for like, okay, what would work for me, what doesn't work for me. Like for example, let's just do that real quick here, okay? Let's take all this stuff out. This is Frost Blades, additional accuracy support. This is Whirling Blades and additional accuracy support. So at low levels, he doesn't really have any gear. He's not hardly doing anything interesting at all. So we have 2 mouse buttons that we can use on this. And you can go into this very basic level, this lower level than you. You can attack like this, little frost attacks. It's using my mana on the right side burning down. Or I can use this little spinning move to move through things. And so when you get like level 10, 15, 13, you want to start doing things like, hey, what's it like to use this swirling blade ability versus hitting this guy with a frost attack. As you find abilities that are interesting to you, that are fun, then you say to yourself, well, wow, what else could I do to make that cooler? And that's where you want to start experimenting with the support gems. The support gems can tremendously change the action of these abilities, right? That's where you might find it, like multiple attacks. Let's just do one real quick. Let's go back to the little starter area. We don't even have a scroll on this. We're just going to look at, you can do a quick trick in the game. You can log out, And then you can log back in. Let's just go back and log back in. And it'll teleport you back to the start area. I don't like doing it. A lot of people do it. Usually I just have scrolls. I'll just recall. All right, let's go back to Skinkles again, right? He was just a joke character I was playing around with. I wanted to see how that ability felt. So you pick this core class. Now your next big decision is to try to figure out, well, what else can I do to, here's a reward I never picked up. Okay, here's a reward. A quest reward is going to be support gems. Chance to poison. Now, as I mouse over it, you can see how it affects the Whirling Blades ability. Say you just want to, warp through things really quickly and poison them and leave them behind us. Or we want to use, what is this? Volley support. It doesn't affect that. It only affects the split arrow ability. How about this one here? Ancestral Call. It only affects Frost Blades. Rain of Arrows. What does it affect? Whirling Blades. What does this one do? Momentum. Gain momentum when you use a supported skill. Gain 1 momentum. Lose all momentum if you move. That sounds complicated. So let's say, okay, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try using a chance to poison. So which one was it? Frost Blades? No. We're going to get rid of the whirling additional accuracy. And we're going to put this little poison, chance to poison in here. And let's get some scrolls out of the stash here. Okay, I'm just going to, because this is something you're going to need to do. I wouldn't worry about trying to run through the game thinking you get a lot of gear with drops and stuff, okay? All right, so we've got this little Whirling Blade ability, and we've added a little chance to poison support. Let's see how that feels. It's going to be like a level 1 gem. It hasn't even been ranked up at all. Well, actually, it's level 5. Okay. You guys died too quickly to get poisoned. So that's the kind of things you want to try to do. It's not a very good example because I'm in such a low level area. Let's do this. Let's try to go to a little bit higher level area. Let's get a portal and go back to the little town. And let's go to something a little bit higher level, but I think you're going to probably get the point of what I'm talking about here. You want to be able to, let's try this, I don't know, Shift Graveyard, level 11. Things should live maybe long enough to... Yeah, he's poisoned. Did you see that little guy get the poison dot on him? So that's the key to the game. You say to yourself, you know, I really love the mobility of this little move. I like the fact that it puts poison dots on things. I don't necessarily want to stand still and melee all the time. I want to kind of zip through this guy, move away from this guy, zip this guy. It's a chance to poison. So as the gem is gaining experience, it's getting closer and closer to be able to rank up. And as it ranks up, it's going to become more effective. Let's see if we can rank this gem up real quick and give you an example of how that works. And even though the gem isn't always being used, because I have it equipped, it's going to gain experience. In fact, this area may be too low to experience to get a lot of experience. Let's just do this. That's a yellow. Now we'll burn up all our mana. We'll just chug a little mana potion here. All right. So we didn't quite level it up all the way, but as you level the ability up, let's do this. It'll become better and better. Like you'll have a higher percentage chance to poison. It'll do additional chaos damage, etc. So that's something you have to do. You really need to try out all the skill gems because you want that to be what you do when you're playing a particular class in the game. And later on, let's go back to here. Later on, you're going to get a hideout. You're going to find a hideout. If you find a little map that says get you a hideout, go grab the hideout right away. This is an area that you can completely decorate on your own. Now, I've got one here decorated, which is pretty crazy. You can download other people's decorated hideouts. We'll do a whole video teaching you how to do that. The reason why I want to come to my hideout is because I want you to show you what every skill gem in the game is that Lily Roth has. There's red attacks, red support, green attacks, green support, blue attacks, blue support, and there's a couple little weirdo mine ones. I just call them weirdo. So let's just take a look here, right? Let's say that you want to do ground slam, and now you want to find a support gem that's going to help it. So you read what this says. It says area of attack. It's an attack, requires a melee weapon. area effect, slam. A slam ability, you go slam on the ground, stuff goes bam, bam, bam out in front of you. It's not like hitting something in the face. You're slamming an area effect like a frontal cone in front of you, and it's a melee ability. So that means I can use any melee ability. So if I try to put that into this set, I have a wand, which isn't a melee weapon, so I probably wouldn't be able to do it. So let's say you wanted to pick a slam ability. Say you wanted something to knock things back. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this. When you have the support gem, you can see, well, what does it affect? Let's just take this melee splash out. Let's put ground slam in. Now we can mouse over this and say, okay, there's a checkbox below flame dash that says ground slam will affect this. And what does a knockback do? They have a 25% chance to knock enemies back on hit. So you can sit there and slam the ground and knock things away, knock things away, knock things away. So this is the type of thinking that you want to do. In fact, you may want to have a situation where, let's put this melee splash support here, where you want to maybe do a different damage type. Like maybe you want to do melee splash, like I said here, with SC, shockwave support, rage support, cruelty support, all these different ones you're going to encounter. Always read them. Fire penetration. So say I picked up an ability, the knockback support, the ground slam. What does this do? Creates a wave, travels forward, damages enemies, increased chance to stun. The wave deals more damage close to image, requires an axe, mace, scepter, staff, or unarmed. So you can't do it with a two-handed weapon. So maybe you want to convert that into cold damage. So you may want to say, or fire. So you can type in the word fire at the bottom, and it's going to say, okay, what does this do? Cold to fire, iron grip support, the fire is projectiles, fire penetration support, burning damage support, supports any skill that hits enemies or can deal burning damage. So you can see here, this will affect, let's equip the gem again. This is the main ability we have. Does that ability, before I even buy it, does the burning damage support the ground slam? Yes. So if I were to convert ground slam into a fire damaging ability, then it's going to, like this one here, gives supported skills a chance to ignite. So I could slam the ground, it might ignite the enemies, and then I might pick up additional fire and flame damage abilities to modify it even further. Like this one here, supported skills gain 25% of physical damage as extra fire damage. So now you can start to see, okay, between fire and frost and shock electrical damage and chaos damage and even holy damage, I can combine different types of support gems with my main ability that I like to use that I think is fun, and I can have, like, you know, you could have almost one for every single piece of gear you have. Now the best way to go is to have gear that's linked, and then you have abilities that modify the one ability. This one here is summon skeletons, which means they get minion damage, and they get feeding frenzy, which makes them aggressive, and it gives me a buff as well. And they have melee splash when they're running on screen. They go bam and hit everything on screen, and there's like, you know, there's like sometimes 37 of these guys on the screen just going plop and blowing everything up. Now, we're going off on the tangent a little bit about the skill gems. Why do we want to do that? Because when you get back to this screen here and you want to create a new character, you need to have already kind of looked at the wiki and said, you know what, I don't really know yet what all the abilities do, so what's the best way for me to start? I actually think you should just maybe start with the duelist or start with the witch. You want to be a spellcaster or have pets, do that one. You start with the duelist, you have the option to do melee abilities like you saw my guy doing, or shooting a bow, because remember, he can turn into a champion later. Or maybe you want to try an archer. I don't really recommend you start off with these guys over here, but hey, why not? I mean, hey, I want to play this guy here. I want to do a lot of two-handed damage using a staff. I want to get in there in a melee. You can do that too. There's nothing wrong with any of those. I just don't stay away from the middle one. It's just a scion. And from there, you'll be able to play the game for a little bit and start thinking about, like, okay, which skill ability do I want to use? I don't have any ones that are linked. And I'll do another video about how to link the gear and how the currencies work. So in a nutshell and in summary, what you want to do is you want to go to PoEwiki.net. You want to type in Ascendancy class. You want to kind of read what these core classes you see, what they are, right? And you want to kind of read what the witch does. Now, if I say, hey, you want to be like a fire bombing, you know, firestorm witch. You want to just bomb firestorm on the screen and run around and go boom, 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 like the Blizzard sorcerer used to do in World of Warcraft. You want to read what this is, an intelligence class, so as she gains levels, she can get intelligence. You say, what happens if I pick an elementalist with her when I ascend at about level 33, 35? what is going to happen with her? Increase elemental damage. So that makes sense, right? So if you want to be like a firebombing Wicked Witch of the North, you maybe ascending into the Elementalist is the way to go. And then another thing you could do, I know it sounds quite silly, you could just go to YouTube and you could say, okay, let's see, or you could go to PoE Ninja. Let's do that. PoE Ninja is a website that lets you see all the more popular builds. The problem is it's all the more hardcore builds, like really, really, really crazy hardcore. So you can click on the build tab at the top and you can say, okay, let's see what the other elementalists are doing. The problem with this is that you're going to see really, really bizarre builds that don't make any sense to you. So you can click on that. That'll load up all the elementalists for you. There, it takes a second to load. Here's an elementalist doing 25 million damage. So you can click on their character profile. And these are in-game, totally engineered classes, right? Very difficult for you to start the game off this way. And you can see what they're wearing and what gems they're using. And you can see, oh, okay, this is their talent tree. This is where they're going for their talents. Here's all the cluster jewels they use, which we'll explain in another video. So in of itself, what's their main damage dealing ability? You can see in their 6-link, chess piece, which is a pretty nasty chess piece, by the way. They're using Herald of Thunder, Empowered Charges on Hit, Cruelty Support, Increased Critical Damage, Awaken Elemental Focus. They're using Wave of Conviction. So they're using a lot of blue and reds. They're using some really interesting stuff. They have a lot of support things like Phase Run and More Duration, Immortal Call, Flame Dash, Faster Casting, Stormbrand. So you've been, wow, I don't understand how any of that works. I just want to try playing a witch that casts Firestorm and blows everything up on screen. That will take you pretty far, and you'll have a lot of fun with it. Once you get into the mapping part of the game, which is the end game, you may find that, oh, I'm dying now, I need to upgrade my gear. And the best way to upgrade your gear is a combination of crafting and using the trade site. So that's really the best way for you to start. Just pick something that sounds quasi-interesting. Like, what is an occultist? You're going to start with a witch. It's an intelligence class. This is energy shield and chaos damage. Hey, that sounds cool. What if I played an occultist and I shot a bow and did caustic arrow? Well, then you say to yourself, that's fine, you could do that, but guess what the problem's going to be? Remember, you're going to need to have enough dexterity ultimately to make sure you max out that caustic arrow gem. That's not impossible. So at the max level, that caustic arrow gem takes 155 dexterity. And as you can see, that's not undoable. You can put enchants on your gear. You can make sure to pick up gear that has particular stats on it to get the additional dexterity that you need. So that might be an interesting synergy. Go try it out and see how it feels. You will find that the blue gems you always have enough intellect for when you're playing a caster class from the witch, but you may not have enough dexterity. So don't over level the gems. Like, for example, when you level up a gem, it's going to pop up on the sidebar like this. It's this one right here. I'm playing this champion. I'm not, my affinity is not intellect. Click to level up this efficacy support gem. Efficacy is going to make my dots do more damage, right? And where do we have that on our tree, on the character tree? Concentrate effect, clarity. We must have efficacy on a sidebar. Do we have it on here? Where is it at? I don't see it for some reason. That's really weird. I must have taken it off. Okay, it must have leveled up and I didn't click it. Sorry for the confusion on that. Is it over here? There it is. It's in my offset, which has a staff. You can rank up gems by having them in an offset, by the way. Anyway, so efficacy. Let's see, what did it do? We're going to go back to this offset here. Supporter skills had 20% more damage over time and increased skill effect duration, right? So I was ranking it up in the background. Now, if I were to mouse over this, at the top, it tells you where it is now. It takes 79 intelligence to use this ability. I have 133. Supported skills do more damage. If I rank it up, it's going to take 5 more intelligence. So I could go and say, yeah, okay, I want to go ahead and rank that up. But this one here, it's going to take multiple totem support. To get to the next level requires 53 strength. Let's assume that I only had 40 strength. If I rank it up, it needs 55 strength. I won't be able to use it until I do something about it. So be careful about over-ranking your gems. What you can do is you can right-click this plus sign and dismiss these prompts without leveling them. But you can go back later at your inventory tab and see all the gems that have possibly ranked up so you can come back and rank them up later. So these are the kinds of things you're going to need to think about. It's going to be confusing as hell in the beginning because you're going to come from all these other games with these themes about what these character classes do. And I think that's a great way to start, is start thinking about what these classes do, what color gems they're going to be associated with. Take a chance on it, start playing the game, start earning some currency, start getting some stuff linked together, get some movement speed going, etc. Throw a gem in there and say, hey, I'm playing a strength-based class. What 3-link, 4-link, 6-link red gem ability can I use that I think's fun and cool, that smashes the shit out of things and has fun and lets me live longer, and try to build your character around those types of thinking. So when you start looking for pieces of gear, you're going to want to try to find things either from drops or from the vendors at the different towns, or ultimately you can craft these things to a certain degree with using essences, or you're going to use the trade site, and the trade site, which is actually the official trade site from Grinding Gear Games, and you can get gear and recraft it, roll the stats again, and all this stuff. It's really, really crazy. But the very first time you play, just pick something thematic that seems kind of cool, play it for a bit, get to level 20, get a little currency saved up, throw the stuff in your stash, roll another character. The stash is shared between everyone. And just keep dinking around with that. If you really, really, really want to go, let's see, Necromancer 3.26, right? If you really, really want to go into what the latest and greatest starter guys are, Ronaway is a guy in Germany. He makes great videos. He may be hard to understand sometimes. We'll mute this with the stupid ads playing. Don't you hate it how they took away ad block? Okay, we're going to skip this. All right, here's Ronaway.
Over here, 3.26 is getting closer and closer. So in this video, I want to share a very detailed build guide for one of the most comfortable and strong league starters.
So that's great. So a lot of the YouTubers will do this. They will make these videos that this is a league starter, meaning when you start with nothing. Because when the leagues begin, you have nothing in your inventory, nothing in your bank box, your stash, or anything. You got to go discover everything and do everything. And then what you usually do is you play a build that's going to get you through the campaign. And when you get further along in the mapping, you can start getting better currency, and then you can start crafting things and get essences, and it gets better and better. And then you can go roll another character that has all this gear waiting for them that you saved, or you can change your build and unspec certain things and go into the final build. The problem with all these great YouTube videos is they will use lingo and words and abbreviations and descriptions that you won't understand what the fuck it is they're talking about. And the reason why that is because they've been playing the game for 13 years or 15 years even. I mean, Path of Exile came out in 2013. It's like 12 years ago. They try to make in-depth league starter build guides, but they're really oriented towards experienced Path of Exile players. You can still watch these videos and pick up some lingo and pick up some ideas and say, hey, what did he mean when he said this one part, right?
That setup is going to be with you.
He's talking about this Bama
So
build.
we can run like labyrinth level.
He's using PoE Build, which is a third-party program that lets you map out and plan out and see the DPS and the numbers for all your stuff. We'll do a video on that one day too, or you can watch a video out there already. He's talking about early mapping setups, what his build is, the early part of the game, his leveling build, what links you want to get, what abilities you want. Like he's using Rolling Magma. So Rolling Magma kind of looks like this.
Early levels,
So
you will need to aim for wounds or any other item with like 3.
So they're good guides, they're great, but it may be really, really overwhelming. So I think your best bet in the early days is just to get in there, pick a class based on theme, pick an ascendancy based on what you've learned and played with in other, action RPGs. Like say you want to play like a sorcerer, you want to do elemental damage, you want to frost bomb the whole screen, you want to relive Diablo 2 all over again. Try it. Like, why not? I mean, it doesn't matter. You're gonna learn the campaign. You're gonna learn how to play. You're gonna learn what gets you killed. You're gonna learn how to link your gear. You're gonna have all these millions of great guides on the internet. Just give it a shot. And your first time you play is a learning experience, and then the second time is a learning experience, and then the third time is a learning experience, and then suddenly you've got all the gems and you've unlocked everything, and then you can start experimenting with like holy fire totems and different types of shots, and hey, what can I do with this? How many golems can I have? Oh gosh, I can only have one as a necromancer, but I can have 2 if I play this class. And you start thinking, I really, really like, that's what I did. That's why I have so many damn necros. I kept learning how to play necro better and better and better. And the way that I play now, I absolutely love it. It's totally perfect for me. Okay, long video, but the reason why it was kind of long is because unlike every other action RPG or RPG, classes don't mean anything except for what ascendancies you're going to get and the talent tree, and then as you level up, what your primary and secondary attribute or statistic is going to level up for you. This does not limit you in any way, shape, or form, but for your first playthrough, pick something that seems cool. They're all good. There's nothing bad about anyone. Pick something interesting. Try and use any type of weapon, any type of armor, anything you want, and mess around with it, and then start saying to yourself, hey, what does this mean? How does armor actually really work in a game? Then take a moment and go back to the PoE website and type in armor. Okay, they're going to use the British spelling here because they're from New Zealand. Armor. And then read up on it. It affects your damage. It mitigates damage from physical hits, right? It makes you run slightly slower. There's a movement penalty. You have all kinds of interesting detail, even formulas of how stuff work. This game is so in-depth, so detailed, so well put together that this could be a gaming hobby for you for years. So when you're not got your D&D game, you don't got your Pathfinder game, try playing Path of Exile and realize that there's a tremendous amount of knowledge and complexity and synergies in this game, more so than any other game in the industry, with perhaps possibly the exception of EVE Online. But in this one, hey, it's fantasy. It's much cooler. Okay, guys, have a great day. We'll talk to you again real soon. Take care.